Taro had never imagined that a routine assignment could bring him face to face with someone like Empress Nira. For weeks, he had traveled across star systems, repairing ships and equipment damaged in border skirmishes. Engineers like him were seldom recognized beyond their immediate duties. Yet as he approached the grand docking bay of the Zyran fleet, a strange feeling of anticipation filled his chest. The Zyran ships loomed like giants, their sleek hulls reflecting the soft light of the twin suns. Taro's boots echoed against the metallic floor, and every step seemed to amplify the importance of this mission. He was instructed to repair the fleet after a surprise attack from a faction that had been hostile to the Empire for decades. Though humans had occasionally worked with the Zyran, few had ever interacted directly with the Empress. Taro's assignment was clear: repair the armor and suits of key leaders who had been injured during the skirmish. Yet nothing in his training prepared him for the sight that awaited him. Inside the main medical bay, the injured were attended by alien medics, their movements swift and precise. Their forms were elegant, unlike anything human anatomy could produce: long limbs, luminous eyes, and skin that shimmered subtly in the light. And there, lying on a high table, was Nira herself, the Empress of the Zyran. Taro froze for a moment, his hands tightening around the toolkit. He had read reports about her, seen official holograms, and understood her reputation, but nothing captured her presence in person. Even from a distance, she radiated authority. Her armor, once flawless and gleaming, was torn in places, revealing the smooth underlayers that no human had ever seen up close. A voice broke his hesitation. "You may begin," said a soft but firm tone. It was Nira herself. Her words were calm yet carried weight. Taro swallowed and stepped forward. I'll be careful," he said, more to himself than to anyone else. Nira's eyes, bright and perceptive, followed his movements. She didn't speak again, but the silence was not uncomfortable. It was an observation, a quiet acknowledgement of his presence. Taro knelt beside her armor, studying the damage. The tears were deep but repairable with the materials he had. His fingers worked carefully, patching the reinforced plating and sealing minor fractures. Every touch was deliberate, precise. He focused on the mechanics, hoping that by concentrating on the work, he could ignore the overwhelming aura the Empress exuded. Yet, as his hands brushed lightly against a section of her arm while aligning the plates, a shiver ran down his spine. It was not just the touch of another being. It felt electric, a strange recognition that seemed to pass between them. Taro froze, heart pounding. He looked up, expecting a glare, a command, or a dismissal. Instead, Nira's gaze softened. She did not move, nor did she flinch. After a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, she said, almost in a whisper, "Don't pretend that touch meant nothing." Taro's mind went blank. The words hung in the air, simple yet profound. He wanted to speak, to explain that it was an accident, that he was only doing his job, but no words came. The Empress's eyes held him in place, her calm strength both intimidating and strangely comforting. He shook himself lightly, focusing back on the task. The armor was patching up, the system slowly returning to functionality. Every movement required precision, yet now every motion seemed charged with significance. Taro had patched thousands of suits before, yet this moment felt unlike anything else. "Your touch is careful," Nira said after a moment, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. "But it also carries weight. You do not understand how that feels to someone like me." Taro blinked. I am only trying to repair the damage. That's all," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. Nira tilted her head slightly. "Do not underestimate small things, human. Even a touch can speak louder than words." Taro felt heat rise to his cheeks. He had been trained to focus on machinery, to analyze problems and solutions, not emotions or unspoken messages. Yet here he was, learning that a gesture as simple as a brush of fingers could mean something profound to a being from another world. The medical officers around them worked silently, giving them a wide berth. Taro realized that the room seemed to shrink, the world outside fading until only the two of them remained in this delicate, silent connection. As he finished a patch on the shoulder plating, Taro gently pressed it into place. Nira's eyes followed every motion, her lips curling in what could have been a small smile. "You are meticulous," she said. "I appreciate that. Few humans take such care." Taro nodded, unsure if he should speak further. "I have always believed that the little details matter, Even small errors can lead to disaster. Nira's gaze lingered on him, thoughtful. Perhaps that is why humans endure. You notice what others ignore. You adapt. You persist. The words were unexpected, not just recognition, but praise. Taro's chest swelled with an unfamiliar pride. Not for himself, but because the Empress, someone so far above him in station and expectation, had acknowledged his effort. Suddenly, the medical bay doors opened, and a messenger from the fleet entered. Empress, urgent news. The rogue faction is approaching the outer perimeter. They intend to attack again. Nira sat up slightly, the armor glinting under the lights. Very well. Taro, your work is commendable, but you must stay close. The fleet's defense may require more than simple repairs. Taro's stomach tightened. This was no longer a quiet, controlled repair task. Danger was near, and the Empress herself expected him to play a role. Yet despite the fear, a spark of determination ignited within him. He nodded firmly. I will be ready. Nira studied him for a long moment, then gave a curt nod. Good, humans have surprised me before. Perhaps you will do so again. As the messenger departed, Taro resumed his work, finishing the last few patches. With each adjustment, he felt more connected, not just to the armor or the mission, but to the Empress herself. She watched silently, her presence both commanding and strangely reassuring. By the time the repairs were complete, Taro stepped back and inspected his work. The armor looked whole, the damaged areas nearly invisible. Nira flexed her arm experimentally and gave a soft, approving hum. You have done well, she said. More than well, in fact. Few could repair my armor with such precision and patience. Taro bowed slightly, unused to receiving compliments from anyone, let alone an alien ruler. Thank you, Your Highness, he said. Nira studied him one final time, then leaned back. Do not forget what you felt when our hands met. That touch, it has meaning. Remember it, human. Some things cannot be undone, no matter the distance between worlds. Taro's mind raced, trying to comprehend the weight of her words. He had traveled across the stars, repaired countless machines, and faced dangers he had never imagined. Yet this simple, unexpected moment, felt more significant than any of it. As he left the medical bay, he could not shake the impression the Empress had left on him. Her words echoed in his mind, a constant reminder that even in a galaxy filled with wars, politics, and advanced technology, simple human actions, care, attention, courage could touch hearts, even those of an alien Empress. Outside, the twin suns shone brightly over the fleet. Taro took a deep breath, feeling a mix of awe, fear, and determination. He knew the coming days would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. But one thing was certain. The moment he had shared with Nira, however brief, had changed something inside him, and somewhere deep within the Ziran Empire, the Empress herself remembered the touch. The careful hands of a human who had patched more than just armor. He had touched her trust and perhaps something more. The fleet's alarms rang sharply across the docking bay, shaking Taro from his thoughts. The warning lights bathed the area in red, casting long, tense shadows across the gleaming hulls of the Ziran ships. Outside, the twin suns still shone, but now their light seemed powerless against the growing threat on the perimeter. The rogue faction had returned, and this time, they came with more ships and deadly intent. Taro's heart raced as he adjusted his toolkit and ran toward the nearest control station. Empress Nira was already there, standing tall, her repaired armor gleaming with confidence. Her presence was commanding, yet there was a hint of urgency in her movements. Taro, she said, her voice calm but firm. I need you to monitor the outer defense grid. The rogue fleet is using advanced cloaking. Human insight may notice what automated systems cannot. Taro nodded, sliding into the control chair. Panels lit up in front of him, displaying schematics of the fleet and readings from sensors that seemed almost alive in their speed. Understood, Your Highness. I'll keep an eye on every signal. Nira moved beside him, her long fingers brushing the holographic controls with ease. Do not fear. Observation is as important as action. Your mind may find patterns that machines overlook. Taro tried to focus, but his mind drifted back to the moment in the medical bay. The touch, the words, the connection. It was impossible to ignore now, even with the imminent threat outside. He shook his head and concentrated on the incoming data. The rogue ships appeared on the outer sensors in clusters, their movements precise and threatening. Automated defense drones activated, streaking toward the attackers with silent efficiency. Taro watched closely, analyzing the trajectory of each vessel. There, he whispered, pointing at the display. A cloaked vessel is moving against the pattern. It's trying to flank us from the southern perimeter. Nira followed his finger and studied the readout. Human intuition once again, she said, a faint smile crossing her lips. Do you see it, Taro? Even amidst chaos, your mind notices what others cannot. Taro felt a strange pride, but the danger remained real. We need to reroute the drones. If that vessel reaches the command ship, it could disable the fleet's communications. Nira's hands moved across the controls, her movements fluid and confident. Do it. I trust your judgment. Working together, they redirected the drones, focusing on the cloaked ship. Taro's hands flew over the interface as he calculated the best angles for interception. Nira's presence beside him was steadying, a reminder that he was not alone in this. The first volley of attacks met the rogue vessel mid-flight. Explosions lit up the holographic displays and the drones adjusted in real time. Taro felt a rush of exhilaration. This was more than mechanics. This was strategy, timing, and courage all intertwined. You are quick to adapt, Nira said, watching him work. It is rare for humans to think so clearly under pressure. Taro glanced at her, startled by the compliment, then refocused. I've had practice, he admitted, but I've never worked with someone like you before. Your presence, it makes me want to do better. Nira's eyes softened just for a moment before she turned back to the tactical display. And yet you do not falter. That is why you are valuable, Taro. The fleet may survive because of humans like you. As the rogue faction pressed forward, Nira issued commands with precise efficiency. Taro followed her lead, anticipating her strategies and reinforcing the defenses. At one point, a smaller vessel broke through the first layer of drones and headed straight for the medical bay. Go, Nira said sharply. Protect the medics and civilians. I will handle the fleet's command. Taro's pulse quickened. He gathered a portable toolkit and a few emergency shields, sprinting toward the medical bay. Around him, the fleet erupted in coordinated defense. Explosions shook the docking area, and the hum of engines filled the air. Taro ducked under falling debris, adrenaline sharpening every sense. When he reached the bay, he found the medics working frantically to move the injured. Nira's repaired armor made her presence unmistakable even from a distance. She was already issuing orders, deflecting attacks with strategic precision. Yet as Taro approached, one of the rogue fighters breached the bay's shield, sparks flying across the floor. Taro acted instinctively. He lifted the emergency shield, placing it between the incoming debris and a group of injured officers. Sparks sizzled against the barrier, but no one was harmed. Nira's gaze met his across the bay, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. It was a brief touch without touch, understanding, trust, and connection, all without words. You are quick, Nira said as she deflected another attack with a precision strike from her armor's defensive systems. Not just with machines, but with people. That is rare. Taro felt heat rise to his cheeks but nodded. I'm doing my best. Nira's expression softened briefly. It is enough. Often, human effort is underestimated, yet it proves decisive in moments like this. Together, they led the defensive effort. Taro repaired damaged energy conduits, rerouted power to shields, and assisted medics in keeping critical systems operational. Nira coordinated the defense, her every move efficient and elegant. For the first time, Taro realized that courage and skill could cross species and form a bond stronger than expectation. The battle raged for hours. The rogue faction was relentless, but the human and Zyran alliance proved resilient. Taro's insight into patterns, Nira's strategic mind, and the fleet's advanced technology combined to turn the tide. At one point, a massive fighter broke through the last line of drones, heading straight for the Empress's command ship. Taro instinctively jumped to intercept. Using an emergency override panel, he rerouted auxiliary power to the ship's outer defenses, generating a force field that deflected the attack just in time. Nira's eyes met his, and she gave a small, approving nod. Clever. Quick thinking, Taro. That saved more than machinery. You saved lives. Taro felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. I'm glad it worked. She stepped closer, her hand brushing lightly against his shoulder as she scanned the tactical display. Do not underestimate the impact of small acts, Taro. Today, your careful hands and steady mind made the difference. The battle began to subside as the rogue faction, weakened and disorganized, retreated beyond sensor range. The fleet had survived, thanks to quick thinking, teamwork, and courage. Taro and Nira stood amidst the calm after the storm, their breath steadying. "You did well," Nira said softly, her gaze lingering on him. "Your presence here, it is more valuable than you realize." Taro felt a warm sense of pride mixed with something more complicated, something he had never experienced before. "Thank you, Your Highness," he said. "I only did what was necessary." Nira smiled faintly. "Necessary. Yes, but not ordinary. You are far from ordinary, human." As the fleet assessed the aftermath, Taro took a moment to look around. Sparks from damaged ships floated in the air, but the medics worked tirelessly, repairing systems and tending to the injured. The humans and Zyran alike moved with renewed energy, inspired by the shared victory. Nira approached him again, her eyes thoughtful. "I noticed the moment in the medical bay before the battle. When our hands touched, it was brief, yet it held meaning. You do not need to pretend otherwise." Taro's breath caught. I did not expect that to matter. I was just focused on the repair." Her gaze was steady, unwavering. Even focus can carry intention. Even duty can carry care. That moment. It was honest, Taro. And honesty matters even among stars and empires. He swallowed, trying to find words. I understand. I didn't mean to imply anything beyond my work." Nira's smile softened almost imperceptibly. "And yet your hands spoke for you." Actions often reveal more than words ever could. "Remember that." Taro nodded, feeling a weight lift from him. The danger had passed. The fleet was safe, and somehow, despite the chaos, a connection had formed that neither time nor distance could erase. As he walked through the docking bay, helping repair smaller systems and comforting medics, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The galaxy was vast, filled with conflict and uncertainty, but moments like these, moments of courage, understanding, and connection, reminded him why humans could make a difference. Nira observed him from the command ship, her eyes following every move. She had witnessed countless battles, strategized countless victories, yet this human had impressed her in ways few others could. Quietly, she acknowledged that the brief touch, the careful hands, and the steady mind of Taro were more than just useful, they were remarkable. And as the twin suns set on the Zyran fleet, Taro understood something profound. Survival was not only about strength or technology. It was about courage, care, and the willingness to act even when the outcome was uncertain. It was about trust, understanding, and moments that carried meaning beyond words. Taro had survived the first test, and the bond he shared with the Empress had grown stronger. Yet deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Shadows of danger still lurked in the galaxy, and more challenges awaited. But now he faced them not as a lone engineer, but as a trusted ally of the alien Empress herself. The calm after the battle was temporary. Taro moved through the fleet's corridors, checking systems, repairing minor damages, and assisting medics wherever needed. The rogue faction's retreat did not erase the threat lingering in the galaxy. Nira, the alien Empress, knew that their enemies would return stronger, and she also knew that she could rely on human ingenuity in ways few of her own officers could match. Taro had barely caught his breath when Nira approached him in the command corridor. Her armor reflected the soft interior lights, but her eyes held something more serious than before, a mixture of trust and challenge. "Taro," she said, her voice steady, "I have a task that requires more than mechanical skill. It requires judgment, courage, and discretion. Are you prepared?" Taro felt a flutter in his chest. He had expected technical repairs, not missions. I will do my best, Your Highness," he said, keeping his voice firm despite the nervous excitement. Nira studied him closely. "Good. There is a sabotage device hidden within one of our outer ships. If it activates, it could disable critical systems and weaken the fleet. You will locate it and neutralize it." Taro's mind raced. I bet I can handle that. I just need access to the ship and the schematics." Nira nodded. "You will have my authorization. But know this, Taro, this is more than a technical challenge. You may face danger, traps, and enemies who seek to exploit any weakness. Trust yourself, and trust that I will support you." For the first time, Taro felt the full weight of responsibility. He was no longer just patching armor or fixing systems. He was entrusted with the safety of an entire fleet. And yet the thought of Nira watching over him, trusting him, gave him a strange, steady courage. The ship in question was a lightly armed transport, chosen by the rogue faction as the ideal hiding place for their sabotage. Taro entered the shuttle, his toolkit in hand, and the lights flickered as he ran diagnostic scans. The air was quiet, almost too quiet. Every step echoed through the corridors, making him hyper-aware of the silence. Then a soft hum of energy caught his attention. The sabotage device emitted a faint, irregular pulse. Taro followed the signal, carefully avoiding exposed wires and energy conduits. The device was sophisticated, designed to bypass human understanding, yet he could sense the patterns, the logic behind its construction. As he worked to neutralize it, a shadow moved across the corridor. Taro froze. His hand went instinctively to the energy scanner. "Who's there?" he called, his voice steady despite the sudden tension. A figure stepped forward. It was Nira. She moved with quiet grace, her presence immediately calming the tension. "I came with you," she said simply. "I trust you, Taro, but I cannot ignore my duty to protect the fleet." Taro blinked. "Your Highness, I did not expect you to accompany me. It helps, but you could be in danger." Nira's gaze was firm. "And yet I choose to face it. You see, human trust is built in action, not words. Today we act together." Her words carried a weight that settled Taro's nerves. He felt a strong sense of responsibility, not just for the mission, but for her safety. They moved carefully through the corridors, coordinating silently. Taro neutralized small traps, while Nira guarded the entry points with swift, precise movements. Every glance, every subtle gesture reinforced their growing connection. Finally, they reached the chamber where the sabotage device was hidden. It was a compact but dangerous mechanism, glowing faintly with unstable energy. Taro knelt and began disarming it, carefully isolating circuits and diverting energy flows. Nira stayed close, scanning the corridor for intruders, her armor humming with subtle defensive energy. "You are focused," Nira said quietly. "It is remarkable to see such calm under pressure." Taro paused, glancing at her. I learned it from necessity, and having you here helps me stay steady." Nira's expression softened for a moment. "Human, you do not realize how much your presence matters. Even in brief moments, your actions are brave." Taro felt a warmth rise within him, but there was no time to dwell. He returned his attention to the device. Sparks flew as he carefully disconnected a final circuit, neutralizing the pulse. The glow faded and the air felt lighter, as though a heavy weight had been lifted. "It is done," Taro said, relief evident in his voice. Nira stepped closer, her eyes meeting his. "Indeed, you have proven yourself capable beyond expectation. Today trust was tested and you passed." Taro felt his chest swell with pride, yet he also felt a strange vulnerability. Trust was not just about skill or bravery. It was about honesty, about allowing oneself to rely on another. And in this, he realized he trusted Nira more than anyone else he had ever met. As they turned to leave the chamber, a sudden alarm rang. Another rogue vessel had breached the outer defense grid, and the fleet needed immediate attention. Nira activated a communicator. "Taro, we must return. The fleet requires us once more." Together, they moved quickly through the corridors. Taro's mind was sharp, every calculation precise. Nira coordinated with the fleet's defenses, issuing commands that were both efficient and inspiring. Their teamwork was seamless, almost intuitive, as though their brief connection had synchronized their actions. During a moment of quiet in the shuttle, as they navigated toward the fleet, Nira spoke softly. "Do you remember our first encounter, Taro? When you patched my armor?" Taro nodded, recalling the touch, the words, and the strange electricity of that moment. "Yes, I cannot forget it. It mattered." Nira's gaze lingered on him, her expression unreadable yet deeply sincere. "And it will continue to matter." Small gestures, careful hands, and honest intentions, they echo in ways one cannot measure. "That is why I trust you." Taro felt a mix of awe and humility. He had never imagined that repairing armor could lead to something so meaningful. Yet, in the midst of danger and strategy, he realized that connection, courage, and trust were as powerful as any weapon. The fleet's alert systems flared as they approached the combat zone. Taro monitored the outer shields while Nira coordinated counterattacks. The rogue faction had returned with even greater numbers, but the combined forces of humans and Zyran held firm. Taro's calculations predicted enemy maneuvers before they occurred, and Nira's strategies directed the fleet to respond effectively. In a tense moment, a small group of enemy fighters broke through the perimeter, targeting the shuttle carrying critical supplies. Taro and Nira acted instinctively. He deployed temporary energy barriers to protect the shuttle, while Nira used her armor's energy pulses to push the attackers back. Their actions were synchronized, each supporting the other without hesitation. When the immediate threat passed, Nira turned to him. "Your decision saved lives today, Taro. Not just humans, but Zirin as well." Taro shook his head slightly. "We both did this together. I only handled a part of it. Your leadership, it made the difference." She studied him with a calm intensity. Leadership without trust is hollow. And trust is earned through action, not words. Today, you earned it. As the battle subsided and the rogue ships retreated once more, Taro and Nira stood side by side on the bridge of the command ship. The galaxy beyond stretched endlessly, filled with stars, dangers, and possibilities. For a brief moment, the chaos faded, leaving only a sense of accomplishment and quiet connection. "You have proven yourself in more ways than one, Taro," Nira said softly, "not only in skill but in judgment, courage, and trust. Remember this. Your actions matter, far more than you realize." Taro nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. "I understand, Your Highness, and I will not forget this moment." Nira's eyes softened. "Good. Humans often underestimate themselves. But courage, honesty, and care, those are universal. You possess them, Taro, and that is why you are remarkable." As they looked out over the fleet, Taro realized that this bond, built through action, risk, and mutual respect, was something neither time nor distance could easily break. The galaxy was vast, filled with uncertainty, yet moments like this reminded him why humans could inspire, protect, and endure. And somewhere within the Zirin Empire, the Empress silently acknowledged that this human, steady, courageous, and honest, was no ordinary ally. He had passed the test of trust, and together, they were capable of facing even the darkest challenges the universe could bring. The fleet was quiet, but the tension was thick. Taro moved through the corridors, checking systems and helping medics repair minor damages from the previous skirmishes. His hands moved with practiced precision, but his mind kept returning to the moments shared with Empress Nira. Even in silence, her presence seemed to follow him, steadying him, reminding him of the trust she had placed in him. Nira walked beside him, observing the repairs, yet her mind was on the wider threats. The rogue faction was not finished. They had retreated, yes, but intelligence reports suggested a new, more dangerous plan was forming. An assault targeting the fleet's supply chain, a strike that could cripple the Zirin Empire's operations. "Taro," she said, her voice calm but firm, "I need you for something critical. This mission will not be simple and it may be dangerous. Are you ready?" Taro paused, feeling the weight of her words. He had grown accustomed to danger, but the Empress asking for his direct involvement was different. "I am ready, Your Highness," he replied, his voice steady despite the nervous excitement coursing through him. Nira nodded, her eyes holding a quiet intensity. "Good. We must intercept the sabotage units before they reach the fleet's supply ships. You will accompany me. Together we must neutralize the threat." Taro felt a surge of both pride and anxiety. The mission would test not just his skills but his courage. And yet, knowing that the Empress trusted him completely gave him a strange, reassuring confidence. They boarded a small, agile shuttle designed for stealth operations. The hum of the engines was low, almost silent as they slipped away from the fleet toward the outer regions where the sabotage units were reported. The stars streaked past the windows, brilliant and cold, reminding Taro of how vast and dangerous the galaxy truly was. During the journey, Nira studied him, her expression unreadable, but her gaze sharp. "Taro, do you understand the importance of this mission? Failure is not an option. Many lives, human and Zirin alike, depend on our success." Taro nodded. "I understand. I will do everything I can to ensure we succeed." A silence followed, broken only by the quiet hum of the shuttle. Yet the silence was not empty. It was a shared focus, a mutual understanding of the danger ahead and the trust binding them together. Suddenly, the sensors flared. The sabotage units had been located. A cluster of automated drones armed with destabilizing charges, hidden within a debris field near the supply ships. Taro leaned forward, analyzing the layout. "They are heavily guarded. We need to approach carefully, avoid detection, and neutralize the drones before they can reach the fleet." Nira nodded. "Agreed, I will take the lead. Follow my guidance, Taro, and trust your instincts. The shuttle moved quietly, weaving between asteroid debris to remain unseen. Taro's hands were steady as he monitored the sensors, anticipating the drone's movements. Every step required precise timing. One miscalculation could trigger an explosion, jeopardizing the mission. As they approached the sabotage units, Nira deployed a small energy shield around the shuttle, masking their presence from the drone's sensors. Taro's pulse quickened, yet he remained focused, guiding the shuttle closer. Almost there, Nira whispered. Prepare to disarm the units. I will protect our entry point. Taro nodded, retrieving specialized tools from his kit. The first drone was within reach, its pulse glowing ominously. With careful precision, he neutralized its destabilizing charge, rerouting the energy and rendering it harmless. Another followed, and then another. Each one required concentration, skill, and calm hands, qualities Taro had developed through years of engineering, now tested under immense pressure. Suddenly, a larger drone appeared, more advanced than the others, with defensive measures designed to repel intruders. Taro hesitated for only a moment before engaging it, carefully disarming the circuits while avoiding the energy pulses it emitted. Sparks flew, and the shuttle trembled under the strain, but Taro remained steady. Nira moved with perfect timing, deflecting debris and shielding Taro from direct energy bursts. Her presence was a constant reassurance, her every motion precise and confident. "Keep going, Taro, you are doing well," she said, her voice calm despite the danger. Finally, after intense minutes that felt like hours, Taro disarmed the last drone. The sabotage units were neutralized. The supply ships were safe. Taro leaned back, breathing heavily, but relief washed over him. Nira turned to him, her eyes studying his face. "You have done well. Your hands, your mind, your courage, they have saved lives today. Not only humans, but Zyran as well." Taro felt warmth rise in his chest, mixed with exhaustion. I only did what I could. I couldn't have done it without you." Nira's expression softened. "And yet you acted decisively, without hesitation. That is rare. Courage human is not only in action, but in trust. Trusting yourself, trusting others. Today you exemplified both." For a moment, the vastness of space felt less daunting. Taro realized that the bond forming between him and Nira was more than mutual respect. It was trust, courage, and understanding. It was a connection forged in the fires of danger, strengthened by shared purpose. As they prepared to return to the fleet, the shuttle's sensors detected another anomaly, a hidden vessel moving at high speed, likely a final attempt by the rogue faction to strike the supply ships. Taro's hands flew over the controls, calculating trajectories and energy outputs. "We have one more to stop," he said, determination in his voice. Nira nodded, her armor glowing faintly as she activated defensive systems. "Then we stop it, together." They engaged the vessel, maneuvering the shuttle with precision. Taro guided the energy pulses to intercept, while Nira's armor emitted pulses that disrupted the enemy's targeting systems. Every move was synchronized, every decision precise. Finally, the rogue vessel was disabled, its energy fields collapsing as it drifted harmlessly into space. Taro exhaled, relief flooding through him. The mission was complete. The fleet, the supply ships, and countless lives were safe. Nira studied him, her gaze intense yet approving. "You have proven yourself beyond expectations, Taro. Today you demonstrated courage, skill, and trust. You are no longer just an engineer, you are a trusted ally." Taro felt a mixture of pride and humility. "Thank you, Your Highness. I only did what was necessary." She stepped closer, her presence radiating authority and reassurance. "Necessary, yes, but also remarkable. You see, human true strength lies not in power alone, but in the willingness to act, to trust, and to protect." Taro's heart thumped in his chest. The words, the mission, and the shared danger had drawn them closer. Their bond strengthened in ways neither could ignore. As they returned to the fleet, the twin suns glimmered over the ships, reflecting off their armor and hulls. Taro felt a sense of accomplishment, but also awareness that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. More challenges would come, more dangers would arise, yet he no longer faced them alone. Nira's voice broke his thoughts. "Taro, remember this moment. Courage, care, and trust are not bound by species, distance, or circumstance. You have proven that today." He nodded, understanding fully. "I will remember, Your Highness, and I will continue to act with care and courage." A soft hum of communication filled the shuttle as they rejoined the fleet. Medics, engineers, and officers moved efficiently, repairing minor damages and ensuring stability. The mission's success brought relief, but also awareness that vigilance was necessary. The rogue faction remained a threat, lurking in the shadows, waiting for any weakness. Taro and Nira moved through the corridors of the command ship together, sharing a quiet camaraderie. Their earlier moments, the touch in the medical bay, the teamwork in the sabotage mission, were small yet profound. They had created a trust that was rare, a bond that could withstand uncertainty and danger. "You have changed my perspective, human," Nira said softly, her eyes thoughtful. "I have seen many allies, many soldiers, many advisors. Few have inspired trust and admiration as you have." Taro felt a warmth rise in his chest. I am honored, Your Highness. But it is your guidance, your trust, and your courage that make this possible." Nira smiled faintly. "And yet your actions mattered. Do not underestimate the impact of courage, honesty, and care. These are qualities that transcend stars and species." As night fell over the fleet, Taro looked out at the vastness of space. Stars twinkled endlessly, and he realized that the galaxy was full of uncertainty, danger, and opportunity. But now, with Nira's trust and companionship, he felt ready to face whatever came next. The bond between human and Empress had grown stronger. It was no longer just about duty. It was about trust, respect, and courage shared in the face of impossible odds. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Taro understood that together, they could endure anything the galaxy might throw at them. The fleet was quiet, but the tension never fully left the air. Taro walked through the corridors of the command ship, checking systems and helping wherever he could. The previous missions had proven the rogue faction was clever and dangerous, and intelligence suggested they were preparing a final, decisive strike against the Zyran Empire. Empress Nira joined him, her repaired armor gleaming under the soft lights of the ship. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held the weight of leadership and the knowledge of impending danger. "Taro," she said, her voice steady. "This may be our greatest challenge yet. The rogue faction intends to hit the fleet directly, targeting the command center. We must act swiftly and decisively. Are you prepared?" Taro nodded, his heart steady despite the fear creeping in. "I am ready, Your Highness. We have faced dangers before and we succeeded. We can do it again." Nira's gaze softened for a moment and she placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Your courage gives me confidence, Taro. Together we will face this challenge and protect our people." The fleet's engines roared to life as defensive formations were prepared. Taro worked alongside Nira, monitoring energy outputs, rerouting power to shields, and coordinating with other engineers to ensure every ship was combat-ready. The rogue fleet approached, massive and organized, their ships reflecting the cold light of distant stars. "This is it," Nira said softly. "Stay close, human. We face the storm together." Taro's hands moved quickly over the controls, calculating trajectories and predicting enemy movements. Every decision could mean the difference between survival and disaster. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also the strength of trust he shared with Nira. They had faced danger before, and now they faced it together again. The rogue faction attacked with precision. Energy blasts illuminated the void of space, colliding with shields and hulls. Taro monitored the sensors, anticipating attacks before they arrived, guiding defensive systems and helping deploy countermeasures. Nira commanded the fleet with authority, issuing orders that were executed instantly. Her strategy precise and brilliant. A large enemy vessel broke through the perimeter, aiming directly for the command ship. Taro acted instinctively, redirecting power to the ship's outer shields. Sparks flew across the display as energy overload warnings flashed. Nira's armor pulsed with protective energy, deflecting attacks and maintaining control of the battlefield. "You are doing well, Taro," Nira said over the comms, her voice calm amidst chaos. "Your skill and judgment are crucial. Keep focus." Taro nodded, his fingers flying across the controls. "Understood, Your Highness. I won't fail." The battle intensified as multiple rogue ships approached, each equipped with cloaking technology and advanced weaponry. Taro calculated optimal angles for energy deflection, rerouted power, and coordinated with the fleet's drones. Nira's commands were precise, her strategic mind predicting enemy maneuvers before they occurred. Together they moved like a single unit, synchronized in purpose and action. Amid the chaos, Taro noticed a vulnerable point in the enemy formation. Your Highness, if we target that cluster, we can disrupt their coordination and reduce their attack efficiency. Nira's eyes narrowed, considering the proposal. A bold strategy, human. It is risky, but it may succeed. We will do it. Taro felt adrenaline surge. He adjusted targeting systems and guided the fleet's energy cannons toward the weak point. Explosions erupted, scattering enemy ships and breaking their formation. The rogue faction faltered, giving the fleet an opportunity to push them back. You are remarkable, Taro, Nira said softly, her voice carrying pride. Your insight and courage have saved countless lives today. Taro felt warmth rise in his chest. I only did what was needed. I couldn't have done it without your guidance, Your Highness. Nira's gaze softened almost imperceptibly. And yet your actions mattered. You are not just an engineer. You are a human who demonstrates what we often underestimate: courage, ingenuity, and perseverance. That is why you are trusted. As the rogue faction retreated, the fleet remained intact, though not unscathed. Taro moved through the command ship, assisting with repairs and helping medics stabilize injured crew. Nira followed, her presence calm and reassuring. Every glance, every gesture between them carried unspoken understanding and trust. You have changed my perspective, Taro, Nira said softly as they paused near a large viewport overlooking the fleet. Humans are often underestimated, yet today your courage and skill proved otherwise. You have earned respect, not just mine, but that of the entire Zyran Empire. Taro nodded, humbled. Thank you, Your Highness. I am honored, but it is your trust and leadership that made this possible. She smiled faintly, her expression a mixture of admiration and warmth. Trust and action go hand in hand. Today we proved that together, humans and Zyran can overcome even the greatest threats. You have my trust, Taro, as well as the trust of the fleet. The twin suns set on the horizon, casting long reflections across the command ship's polished surfaces. Taro felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but also awareness that vigilance would always be necessary in a galaxy filled with danger. Yet he no longer faced the challenges alone. Nira placed a hand lightly on his arm. Do you remember the first time we met when you patched my armor? Taro smiled faintly, recalling the moment. The accidental touch, her words, the connection that had started then. I remember. That moment. It meant more than I realized at the time. And it matters still, Nira said, her voice calm but filled with significance. Small gestures, honest actions, and courage. They create bonds that can cross worlds. You have proven that today, Taro. Never forget it. Taro felt a warmth in his chest, a quiet strength drawn from her words. I won't forget, Your Highness, and I will continue to act with care, courage, and honesty, no matter the challenge. A soft hum of activity filled the bridge as crew members repaired minor damage, coordinated defenses, and ensured the fleet was secure. The battle had been won, but the memory of struggle lingered, a reminder that vigilance was essential. Taro and Nira walked together along the observation deck, their steps quiet amid the busy crew. The stars stretched endlessly before them, distant and cold yet beautiful. You have proven what humans are capable of, Nira said softly. Ingenuity, courage, and perseverance, they are qualities that inspire, even across the vastness of space. Today you showed that to all of us. Taro felt a sense of pride and humility. I only acted as I could. But it means a great deal to hear that from you. Nira's gaze held his, steady and sincere. And it will matter, human. The galaxy is unpredictable and challenges will come. But today you have shown that even in the darkest times, humans can shine. That is why I value you, Taro. Not just for your skill, but for your character. Taro's chest swelled with a quiet strength. He had traveled across the stars, faced danger, and learned the true meaning of courage and trust. And now the bond he shared with the Empress had grown stronger. A connection built on shared challenges, respect, and understanding. As the fleet rested and repaired, Taro knew that this moment would remain with him forever. The galaxy was vast and uncertain, but the strength of human courage, ingenuity, and honesty could make a difference, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Nira looked at him one final time before they returned to their duties. Remember this, Taro. You are capable of far more than you know, and together, humans in Zyran can endure anything the stars may bring. He nodded, understanding fully. I will remember, Your Highness, and I will continue to act with courage, care, and determination. The twin suns rose over the fleet once more, their light reflecting off the ships and armor, signaling a new day of hope and resilience. Taro looked out at the stars, knowing that the challenges ahead would be many, but he also knew that trust, courage, and connection would guide him. And somewhere deep within the Xeran Empire, Empress Nira silently acknowledged that this human, steady, courageous, and honest was no ordinary ally. He had proven that humans could inspire loyalty, admiration, and respect. In the vast galaxy, where uncertainty and danger were constant, the bond between them symbolized the best of humanity. Taro had begun as a simple engineer, tasked with patching armor. Now he was a trusted ally, a symbol of human ingenuity and courage, and a reminder that even across worlds, bonds forged through trust and action could change destinies. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of stars, possibilities, and dangers, yet Taro and Nira stood ready, together. And in that moment, amid the endless void of space, humanity had proven its value, not through power alone, but through courage, care, and unyielding determination.